Good morning, everyone. Today I want to do a quick video to tell you about Bloodroot, the native plant Bloodroot, where I'm planting it, where I got it, and also kind of like a post-game analysis of my open garden from this weekend. Welcome to my YouTube channel, 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I grow native plants and I garden for the wildlife. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you where I planted my new Bloodroot, which will affectionately be known as Barbara's Bloodroot in my garden. I will show you how I planted it up and the few little steps that I took to do that. And then come back with me and I will tell you a little bit more about the Bloodroot plants. I received some plants and some really precious things during my open garden this weekend. Barbara came down from Baltimore and gave me some Bloodroot. I want to find a good place for the Bloodroot where they'll be able to be seen. So I'm looking for shade and moist. My first thought was over here across from the May apples and the Jack in the pulpits, because this is where I am a lot. Like if I'm taking a break from work or taking a break at all, I'm coming down here off of my deck through my yard and doing a walk. So here is where I'm a lot, and I just want to be able to see them and think about Barbara and the fact that it was a gift to me. I love it when people give me plant gifts. So anyway, I was thinking here, this gets part sun and I think it's pretty moist. My only concern here is I have this sweet woodruff, which is kind of invasive. I wouldn't want it to take it over. I don't think that it will, just because the Bloodroot has such large leaves. And then I'll probably move those Jack in the pulpits, and so it can have just kind of like a, what's that called, a place of pride right here. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. But let me just walk down here and see if there's anywhere else. This is really full. A lot of times this area gets full with Jack in the pulpits. I had thought about that, but every time I plant something there, like I planted these, it's a cultivar, but geraniums, the Jack in the pulpits take over. So I don't want to do that. I thought about somewhere over in the front of this bed, but I'm already trying to establish white avens there. And then I have golden ragwort here. So I wouldn't want the golden ragwort to take over, and then that Carex lorita is going to get really big. Over here, this isn't as moist, and I have a Hypericum prolificum, which will probably take up this whole area eventually in time. This area is too dry. This might be a nice area for it, but it might actually be too wet because I read that it wants well drained. This might have too much water in it. I could put the baby ones over here and see how they do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll put the baby ones right here, and then I'll put those big ones up over there where we were just talking. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. This is a kind of a different type of video, but I thought it would be cool to just talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to do them right there, and I'm also going to put them the little baby ones down there, and we're going to see how they do in those different places. And here are the baby Bloodroots, and I'm going to pop them in right here and see how they do. There we go, super excited. There is my first Bloodroot planting. Now, okay guys, so now I'm going to do the second planting, and I made these so that I would make sure that I knew where they were. Bloodroot from Barbara from Baltimore. This sweet woodruff is kind of invasive. It's not native, so let me get some of this out of there. We're going to put this here. He's in this nice protected spot, and there will be the gold and the green and gold underneath it. So there's one, and here is two. Okay. Okay, let's see what I can do here. I'll pop out some of this green and gold and just move it a little bit to make room for the bloodroot. Should be fine. They transplant super well as long as they stay moist, which this area is very moist. Let's see, right there. And then what is this? Oh, that's Virgin's Bower. You know what? I'm gonna pull this one out because this one has seeded over here. I'll move this over to some of my wildlife habitat. Okay guys, so now hopefully forevermore I will have what I am going to affectionately refer to as Barbara's Bloodroot right here in this pride of place where I am constantly walking by and can just think about it. Look how cool those leaves are. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. So a little bit about Bloodroot or Sanguinaria canadensis. The sanguinaria comes from the Latin sanguinarius, which means bleeding, and that refers to the roots. The interior of the roots and the stems have a red juice, a red sap to them, and so that's where the name comes from. The bloodroot is a native herbaceous perennial, and it's also ephemeral. So it's going to be one of the first things that bloom for you in the spring, but then it is going to die back in the midsummer or the summer heat, depending on where you live. This plant has a really rich history. So indigenous peoples used this plant for an array of medicinal purposes, and also they used it for red dye, and the colonists did as well. So a couple different uses for this plant, but it is a very fleeting plant. The blooms don't last too long from what I'm reading, because I've never had it before, and it really has very unusual large rounded cleft leaves, which I'm really getting into their look. But when they first emerge, they're going to come up on a single stem, and the bud, the bloom, is going to be wrapped in that rounded cleft leaf, and then it's going to open up, and then the white flower with the yellow interior will bloom. The bloodroot does not have any nectar. It has just pollen. So there's a couple thoughts about that, that the plant tricks the insects into pollinating them. However, some also say that the pollen is a really high value pollen and really geared towards the queen bumblebees as they're emerging, and something that they need. So a couple different thoughts on that. A lot of times when you get big swaths of the bloodroot, they are being propagated by ants. The ants like this fleshy substance that's attached to the seed. I believe the pronunciation is eliosome. So they will gather the seeds and take them back to their nest and store them so that they can feed off of those eliosomes, and then they're essentially planting the bloodroot seeds. So ants are a really good reproducer for the bloodroot. The bloodroot likes moist, shady conditions. So if you can find something moist or medium, reasonably well drained, in part shade or shade, it should do really well. Now it's not going to like overly dry or overly moist conditions, and it's not going to like a lot of sun, so avoid those things if you're planting your bloodroot. Now they've already gone over at this point where I live, so I'm just planting my gift from Barbara, but if you can find it, go ahead and give it a try, and then you'll be surprised in next season with the spring blooms. Guys, I had so much fun at my open garden this weekend. There were so many more people that attended on, well, let me first start. Okay, so I scheduled this open garden for Saturday, May 13th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for, the 2 weeks leading up to it, the weather looked fantastic. Right, so then like on Thursday, of course, the weather forecast turns and it is supposed to be raining the entire time I'm having my open garden. So what I did is I extended it last minute to also include Saturday. So I was here Sunday and I was here Saturday, and I was here Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2. And the goal was to bring people together, to bring local gardeners together, maybe make some friends, take a look at how I incorporate native plants into my landscape, because I have so many different projects and ideas and experiments going on all over the place here. And then also, like I said before in another video, I was gonna do like a mini plant sale with some vegetables. I ended up doing it just everybody take whatever you want, and if you want a tip for seed money later, then you could do so. And that's what I ended up doing. And I had tons of peppers and tomatoes. My tomatoes were not nearly as big as I wanted them to be. Typically I start them a lot earlier and keep them downstairs a lot longer, and they're really big by now. I started them later and I brought them out earlier, and so I think I just really messed up with them being on the smaller side. That's okay. I'll still let them continue to grow here, and I'll probably put out some notices for free tomato and pepper plants in a week or so after they're a little bit bigger. But I did have a lot of people take them to baby them at home. I also had native plants, so I had partridge pea, Culver's root, purple love grass. What else did I have? Oh, I had my rooted elderberry cuttings. You know, I did a video on pruning, and where I just prune stems of my elderberries in the late winter and just shove them in the ground. So I had rooted cuttings of elderberries, and then I had my buttonbush seedlings that I grew from seed about 3 years ago. So I met so many fun people, so many people interested in native plants or interested in learning about native plants. I met some people who just moved here and are looking to meet new people and get involved in that kind of gardening. So I'm definitely here for them. And yeah, and I had a couple little humbling experiences. One of our friends here on the YouTube channel, Barbara, she's from Baltimore, and she brought me bloodroots. And if you're reading in the comments, you'll know that I've always wanted bloodroot. I've tried to start it from seed and it didn't come up, and so super excited about the bloodroot plants. I got some gardening stickers from Pam. I received a bunch of vegetable plants from some of my friends from a Facebook group called Gritty Green Thumbs that I am a part of. So they brought me lots of veg. So that was like really humbling and very, very special to have had people think about me and bring gifts for me. And I ended up doing a lot of garden tours. They went really long because I talk forever, but I also did like QR codes on stakes, so that, and not in all my areas, but just mainly the ones up front. And I'm going to kind of expand that for future open gardens. And I did a QR code that you could put into your phone, and will pull up a page in the back of my website, and it would say like kind of the projects that I worked on in that area, or what I was going for, or you know, just about the area and then the plants in that area. So I really liked having that available for people, especially on Saturday when there were so many people and I wasn't expecting it. So it was, again, very humbling to have everybody here and be able to talk to them about native plants, and hopefully if they aren't already planting natives, that they will. So my post-game analysis is it was a huge success. I am so humbled. I am so happy that I did it. And I will definitely be doing one in the fall. If you're local to me, my idea right now about fall is maybe some fall veg. I'm not 100%, but what I was thinking about doing was getting a bunch of different types of milkweed seeds that are native here to Northern Virginia, and just do seedlings for people to either take care of over the winter or pot out, knowing that they're just seedlings and they probably won't bloom next year, but just to know that they are going away with some milkweed. So I thought that would be fun. And I also thought of a little scavenger hunt too. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about for the fall. Who knows, maybe I'll even do a midsummer one, but it gets so hot here, and there's just so many bugs that I'm not sure if people will want to attend. But anyway, we'll see. So that is my post-game analysis of my open garden. So happy about it. And Yeah, thank you for being here with me today. Thank you to all my friends who brought me a little something special to my open garden and just came with your presence alone. I really appreciated that you spent your time with me. Happy gardening, and I will catch you again next time.